Hello, welcome to iKnowledge Wisdom Entertainment. My name is Yashpal Rayanur, and today I'll be taking the chapter Soil. Let us understand the geography of the soil. What is soil, and what are the different types of soils, how soils are formed. So this is the main objective of the today's class. So students, let's begin by understanding what is a soil. What is a soil? Soil is a mixture of organic matter, minerals, gases, liquids, and organisms that together support life. Soil is it is the alternate definition can also be in such a way, that is, soil is one of the principal substrata of life on earth, serving as a reservoir of water and nutrients, as a medium for the filtration and breakdown of injurious wastes, and as a participant in the cycling of carbon and other elements through the global ecosystem. So basically, soil, it consists of minerals, any kind of minerals. It might be magnesium, iron, ferrous, copper, aluminium, bauxite, whatsoever it is. So it also consists the gases, carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, then some other gases. Okay, and liquids. It can contain the liquids, that is the moisture content present in that, the humus, that is the organic substance, that's the organic matter. Okay, so what is soil? Soil is a mixture of organic matter, minerals, gases, liquids, and organisms that together support life, right? So let us move on to the next, that is, what are the types of soil? There are 6 main soil types. So that would be clay, sandy, silty, peaty, chalky, loamy. Okay, so let us know the types of soil. Okay, here the pictures of the soil, that the types of soil are being shown. Okay, you can see sandy, loamy, clay. Okay, some of the examples, some of the different types of the soils which are shown in the picture. Okay, now coming to the sand. So what is sand actually? It is the most extensively used construction material that we all know, right? What all it consists of? It consists of particles of rock and hard minerals such as silicon dioxide. They are the largest type of soil particles, where each particle is visible to naked eye. So you can see the river sand, the ocean sand, okay, the stream runoff sand. All the size and the coarse of the sand, they vary. Some of the particle size of the coarse sand ranges from 2 to 4.75 mm, and the medium sand ranges from 0.4 to 5 to 2 mm, and the fine sand ranges from 0.075 mm to 0.425 mm. Okay, so let us tell you briefly about the sand. The bigger particle size of the sand gives wet and dry sandy soil a grainy texture when you rub it between your fingers, and it makes the soil light and crumbly. When you try to stick it together in your hand, the particle shape is angular, subangular, rounded, flat, or elongated, depending upon the texture, that is whether it is smooth, rough, or polished. Coming to the silt. What is silt? Silt is a sediment material with an intermediate size between sand and clay, carried by water. During flood, it storms a fertile deposit on valleys floor. The particle size of silt ranges from 0.002 and 0.06 mm. So silt is a non-plastic or a low plasticity material. Due to its fineness, it is having a high fineness. Okay, so due to its fineness, when wet, it becomes a smooth mud that you can form easily into balls or other shapes in your hand. And when silt soil is very wet, it blends seamlessly with water to form fine runny puddles of mud. So if you visit nearby your place, you may find out the silt, the sediment material that is present everywhere on the valley's floor. Okay, so you can just have an experiment with that kind of soil. Okay, now moving on to the next, that is clay. Clay particles are the finest of all soil particles, measuring fewer than 0.002 mm in size. It consists of microscopic and submicroscopic particles derived from the chemical decomposition of rocks. So what is clay? Clay is fine grained. It's a cohesive soil. They stick together readily and form a sticky, gluey texture when they are wet or dry. Clay is made of over 25% clay, and because of the spaces found between the clay particles, clay soils hold a high amount of water. So in the previous picture, I had shown you the clay. Over this is the clay. Okay, so here the man, he's like he's doing something in that. Okay, so this is used for the pottery and for the other purposes. Okay, so clay is made of over 25% clay, and because of the spaces found between clay particles, clay soils hold a high amount of water. So here the holding capacity of the water is very great. So that's why we keep earthen pots in our home for the water purposes and all. You might have seen during the time of Harappan civilization, and till today we practice using the earthen pots. Clay expands when in contact with water and shrink when getting dry. Compared to sand particles, which are generally round, clay particles are thin, flat, covered with tiny plates. Organic clay is highly compressible and its strength is very high when dry, which is why it is used in construction as mud mortar. So it is also used in the construction as mud mortar. Moving on to the next, that is loamy soil. So what is loam? Loam is a mixture of clay, sand and silt. So above all three mixture, the loam is formed. It's clay, sand and silt. You can remember in the form of CSS or make some abbreviation or something like that. And benefits from qualities of three different textures favoring water retention, air circulation, drainage and fertility. So these are some of the characteristics of the loam, that is, it favors the water retention and it gives a good air circulation, drainage and fertility. These soils are fertile, easy to work with, provide good drainage. Depending on their predominant composition, they can be either sandy or clay loam. The way the other particles combine in the soil makes the loam, for instance, a soil that is 30% clay, 50% sand and 20% silt is a sandy clay loam. With the soil type before loam listed in the order their particles are most dominant in the loam. The labels clay loam, this is clay loam, right? Silt loam and sand loam are used to refer to soils that are composed predominantly of these ingredients. So what is the point to be remembered over here is that this particular loam is having the characteristics of favoring water retention, air circulation, drainage and fertility. So it's the fertile soil. Moving on to the next slide, that is, let us look into the more insides of the soil, that is how soils are formed. Okay, so what the soils how the soils are formed, basically the early phase of soil formation starts by disintegration. The rock, under the influence of climate, rainwater will dissolve rock elements. Temperature fluctuations will cause cracks and fissures in the rocks. Hot and cold temperatures, the temperature fluctuations which is that. So freezing and thawing of water captured in the rock will widen existing cracks and cavities, right? So pioneer vegetation at first, lichens. So you might have seen this organism, lichens, in the forests or in the stream side or in somewhere near the rivers. Okay, so at first lichens will settle and their roots and further loosen the crack. So these are present in the rocks and they crack, they form a muddy layer. Moreover, decaying plant debris will produce organic acids, which further disintegrates the rock. Organic matter will start to accumulate and be mixed with the mineral material provided by the rock. So all the physical and the mechanical and the chemical weathering, that is, the mechanical weathering, which is also the physical weathering, okay, and the chemical weathering, together there is the influence of these properties on the on the rock, and hence the soil is formed. Over time, rock minerals will be dissolved or transformed. Elements released from the rock will precipitate and new minerals may be formed. For example, iron will be oxidized. So iron gets oxidized and precipitates as iron oxides or hydroxides, giving the soil reddish or yellowish brownish colors. So now do you understand why the soil is red in color or yellowish in color or brownish in color? Because this is of the oxidation process. So oxidation, like physical weathering or the mechanical, so the chemical, the physical properties and the chemical properties. Soil fauna will settle and mix homogenize the soil. The soil will grow in depth through newly formed soil material at the bottom. So this is how the soil is made, that is the weathering action on the, this is the rocky mountain or else the rock stone. Here the water has been entered into this crack, and when it is the frosting, that is the mechanical weathering is taking place, and the influence of wind, rain, hail, ice, the heat and cold actions on the parent material, that is further has been cracking and it is forming the fine parent gravels or something like that. So you can see over here, this is the in the image. Okay, then spontaneous weathering, that is continuous weathering is happening, and there is a lot of the movement of the minerals, nutrients, ions in solution. The oxide formation is there, that is of the iron and the alumina, silica, silt, sand cores. So this is what the how the soil is found. 3-layer clay, weak, moist, swell, clogs, bogs, temperate. So these you can see, there is arable, dry, tropical. These are the conditions. So this is the how soils are formed. You can see this is a beautiful diagram picture that is being taken by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Okay, soil process, how the translocations, transformations, losses, soil profile, soil average composition, all the characteristics are taking place. This is the organisms, climate, topography, all the things and the time are influencing in the formation of the soil. Thank you very much, and we'll continue in the next class. Thank you.